Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. As we're going through the book of Genesis, it's very easy to get caught up in the stories and the characters that we come across. And of course, those are very important, and there's a reason why those stories and those characters are there. But at the same time, we don't want to forget the most important character in the book of Genesis, and that is God. Yes, we learn a lot from Noah and Abraham, and continuing in our reading today with Isaac and these other characters that kind of give us good stories of what it means to walk by faith and also what it doesn't mean to walk by faith and things like that. And those are, again, very important. But we need to also remember that there's a lot to learn about God in these stories as well. And the original audience, the Israelites in the wilderness, needed to learn a lot about God just as much as they needed to learn about their ancestors. They needed to learn what type of God that they were entering into a covenant with. And I would say one of the main characteristics that we find in our reading today when it comes to God is that of faithfulness. Time and time again, our reading today, we come across the Lord being faithful in blessing Abraham, being faithful in continuing the blessing through Isaac, and working out circumstances favorable to the ultimate plan of bringing about this wonderful nation of Israel that he would eventually possess and take ownership of. But nonetheless, the Lord, time and time again, not just in our reading today, but throughout the book of Genesis, shows himself to be a faithful God. And this is held out in contrast to the pagan gods that the Israelites would have been familiar with, as the nations around them would have been worshiping them. The pagan gods of the day were unfaithful, untrustworthy, very selfish and egocentric, and really, in some cases, looked at humans as though annoyed by them, definitely just using them as an instrument for their own selfish means. And you don't really find a lot of faithfulness in the pagan gods. But the God that's pictured for us in the book of Genesis is a faithful God. Not only one God, but a God who is faithful. And again, this would have been very helpful to the Israelites in the wilderness to know that they could trust the Lord, trust him to keep his promise. If he says that he's bringing them into the promised land, then they can bank on the fact that God is going to keep his promise. It reminds them that they are in a covenant with God, just as Abraham was in a covenant with God. And as God was faithful with him, so he would be faithful with them. But it's helpful for us as well, because it's important for us to remember on a day-to-day basis that the God that we serve is a faithful God. You know, if we were just left up to our circumstances, if life was just random, if there really was no ultimate authority in the universe, and we were kind of just left up to our circumstances and chance and things like that, that would be a very difficult way to traverse this life, because we know how unpredictable life can be. We know that tragedy can hit out of nowhere. We know that sometimes days are cheery, and then sometimes days are dreary, and things like that. And if we took God out of the equation and the faithfulness of God out of the equation, it would be a very miserable type of approach to life, because we would really just be left up to what's going on around us. And even that is uncertain. The universe has no sense of faithfulness. It just acts on particular laws that govern it. However, when we are connected to God in faith, then it changes things. Now we know that there is a God who is sovereign, who is all powerful, who holds all authority, who has a plan, who has made some promises, and that is faithful to the plan and the promises that he's made. And we know that life, even though sometimes it might appear random and disjointed and things like that, we know that all of it is being done under the watchful eye of the Lord. And not just the Lord, but the Lord who is faithful. And so every day we can wake up and say, I'm waking up to a God who is going to be faithful to me. He's either going to be faithful to me and helping me out in my circumstances and making my circumstances favorable, or he's going to help me out by giving me the strength to get through the trials and the troubles and the difficulties of the day. But in either way, he's going to show himself faithful. He will show up today for me, and he will help me through everything that I must face. And it's a wonderful feeling to know that you're connected to a covenant-giving God and to a faithful God who has made the promise that he will neither leave you nor forsake you. And when you can face a day with that in the forefront of your mind, it changes things. It changes your whole approach to life. And let's be thankful today that we have a God who is faithful. We see him being faithful to Abraham and to Isaac. We'll continue to see him being faithful to others such as Jacob and Joseph. And as we read about these stories, let's be reminded that we need to remember what we're learning about God and how we're learning about how he's such a faithful God, one who makes covenant with men, and also one who keeps his promises. And hopefully that'll give us the courage and the strength to face each day, knowing that God is with us, that he'll guide us, and that he'll help us through this life. So these are some things we can reflect on and think about as we do our reading today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.